Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Grammy-winning singer Deniece Williams performs live at Bethesda Blues and Jazz this Saturday night in Bethesda, Maryland. She joined me to discuss her career from singing backup vocals for Stevie Wonder to recording her hit song Let's Hear It for the Boy on the Footloose soundtrack. Hey, Deniece Williams. Hey, thanks so much for joining us on WTOP in DC.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Great to be here with you.
Yes, and we're talking because you are coming to the Bethesda Blues and Jazz Supper Club. It's a nice intimate spot, so listeners are going to get to see you up close and personal on Saturday, June 24th. Now, have you ever played Bethesda Blues and Jazz before? I want to start there.
I think that this is going to be at least my third time performing there. It's one of the clubs that I really, really love to perform at, because basically of what you said is very intimate. We have a lot of fun there, visiting, because I always see it as like my living room. You come to see me and we chat and we talk and I sing. So it's an incredible venue and I'm excited to be there.
Yeah, it's not just like, a seated proscenium view. It's like you're almost like old school, like you're seated at tables, at the Copa or something. I don't know what the equivalent is, but it's a night out. It's like an event. You know what I mean?
Yes, I
love it.
It's a night out.
And in terms of, we don't have to spoil the whole set list, but give us an idea. Is it like your greatest hits from over the years, or is there anything new you're working on? Any covers, or, give us a sample of, what we might hear.
I am in studio working on a new project, and I'm hoping to get that finished this year. But basically, there are songs that everybody wants to hear. Certainly they want to hear Let's Hear It for the Boy. They want to hear Free. They want to hear Black Butterfly. So there's a set roster of songs that I do, because if I don't do certain songs, somebody's not going to be happy with me.
I bought the ticket for this song. You better play.
That's right.
But you have a ton of stuff to choose from, so everyone turn out to see exactly what the set list is. Well, I want to get into some of the songs you mentioned, but real quick before, I'd love to sort of back up and remind everyone how you got into this racket to begin with. I know you were born in, what was it, Gary, Indiana?
Yes.
What sort of stuff did you listen to growing up? Who were your musical heroes back then?
Well, I was listening to the Supremes. I was listening to Gladys Knight and the Pips. I was listening to Lena Horne. I was listening to just a plethora of different people. Johnny Mathis, who I ended up singing with eventually down the line. But I just loved Nancy Wilson, who I wanted to look like, be like, sound like. Earl Grant. My mom had a record collection, and when she would go to work after school, before she got home, I'd sneak into her room and play all her records. Jackie Gleason had a record out called the Jackie Gleason Orchestra, and they did all standard songs, but they didn't sing the lyrics. They did oohs and ahs. And so I think that my musical taste is just, around a lot of different kind of musical things. When I was in high school, my music teacher, we played in the high school band. We played a lot of music from theater, West Side Story and others. So I had a very well-rounded taste bud where my music is concerned.
Oh, all inspired by all the greats, a lot well-rounded, versatile stuff. And real quick before you got your big break, isn't there also a somewhat brief local tie? Didn't you go to Morgan State University in Baltimore just for a brief stint too around here?
I did go to Morgan State University, and it was just incredible, because I was 800 miles away from home, and this little church girl turned into something else at Morgan State. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience there. Yeah, I loved it. And years later, I had a student loan there. And so they called me after Free had come out, my very first project, and they said, "Okay, Miss Williams, you have a student loan with us." I said, "Listen, can I just come in and teach the business of music for 3 days there and sing with the choir?" And that would clear it up. And they said, "Perfect."
We'll
and
pay it off
wonderful.
That way.
It was wonderful. And I got out of my student loan.
Yeah, can you come sing and get some of us out of our student loans?
Yeah.
I wish it was that easy for everybody else.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. That's a cool story. Thanks for that. Well, one more before your big break, before they start calling you back to sing for your loans. Didn't you do some early stuff, sort of as like was it like a backup vocalist on some Stevie Wonder and Roberta Flack? Like, aren't you in some of the like the iconic albums like Songs in the Key of Life and all that stuff? Like, you're actually on those tracks.
I'm actually on those tracks. I started in the industry with Stevie, my cousin from Detroit, Michigan. He would come to Gary, Indiana for a week with his grandmother, and he would always brag about how he knew Stevie. And for about 6 years, I said, "You know what, Pinocchio, your nose is growing. Stop lying." Yeah, everybody lives in Detroit, so they know Stevie.
You
But
didn't
as it
believe it
turned
at
out,
first.
oh, but as it turned out, he got me an audition with Stevie,
Wow.
and I sang as a background singer with him for 3.5 years, and an incredible musical journey there. Talking books, Songs in the Key of Life. And then I left him and I went to sing with Roberta Flack, which was also an incredible experience with Roberta Flack. I learned so much. And I think I'm on one of Roberta's songs, Feel Like Making Love to
Yes.
You, is Roberta and I. And she was just really wonderful, wonderful. And I studied her as a woman in the industry, going out, single woman, as those kind of things. So it has been an incredible journey. Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Well, then that sort of chronologically brings us up to the big break that you're talking about when you signed with Columbia, I guess in mid 70, 75, something. That first album, This Is Deniece, I guess was 76, with the song Free. Any memories of either signing that record deal or putting together that song Free?
When we were with Stevie, Wonder Love was the group, and a lot of times we'd be at rehearsal waiting for Steve to come. So we started to write songs, and so I wrote this song with a couple of other band members, Susie Green, Hank Red, and Nathan Watts. We were just kind of messing around, and so right before Stevie would come out on the stage, he'd let Wonder Love do a song. So one night they said, "Okay, let's do Denice's song tonight. Let's do Free." I said, "Okay." So we went out and we did Free. And what I didn't know is sitting on the front row was Maurice White, Bertie White, Philip Bailey of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Wow.
And so after the show, their manager came back and they said, "Hey, we really liked your song. Whose song is that?" I said, "That's my song. I wrote that with some of my friends." And I said, "I got a bunch of songs. Can I send them to you?"
Yeah.
Because Philip Bailey and I sing in the same register. And so I sent them the tape, of my songs. I didn't hear anything back for about 8 months or so. And then they called and said, "Maurice White wants to meet with you." So I met with Maurice. And so he said, "Well, I just signed a girls group called The Emotions, and I'm looking for a female solo artist. And I think you're it." I said, "What? Philip's not going to sing my song?" But, of course, the rest is history. We did
Yeah.
the first project, This Is Deniece, with Free, and, things took off.
Absolutely. And they took off, and you got to perform with, like you mentioned, Johnny Mathis, who you grew up listening to. Suddenly you're actually recording duets with. I guess, what was it? Too Much, Too Little, Too Late. I think that maybe
Yes.
even topped the charts. That might have gone all the way up to #1. And You're All I Need to Get By, of course. Just
Yeah.
memories of what we've interviewed Johnny on this show. Check out the archives, folks. But just
Okay.
a wonderful human, seems like, just from interviewing. But what was it like working with him? You know the inside scoop on Johnny. What was it like working with him?
Oh, it was incredible, just incredible. When I saw him, we went in the studio. We were both very afraid. He's this legend, and I'm this neophyte. And so he said, "Listen, I've never sang with anybody before, so just tell me what to sing because you've done a lot of background work and." So we got in there, and somehow we had a bottle of wine. So at the end of that bottle of wine, we weren't nervous anymore, and we went in and we sang the song. I told him, I said, "Listen, I've been in rehearsals with you for 20 years. I'm ready now." And it was just incredible. He is probably one of the kindest and most humble person I've ever worked with in the industry, just a sweetheart. And so It was a lot of fun, and we did have a #1, I think, in some countries
Yeah.
worldwide, and we got a chance to perform for Prince Charles. We did a command performance for Prince Charles of that song, and it was just incredible to work with him. And oh my gosh, my mom, oh, I got to get a new dress. I'm going to the studio. I said, no, you're not acting like that. No.
Your mom was like, I gotta meet Johnny Mathis. This is
That's
amazing.
right. That was
Yeah.
that was her guy. Her generation had grown
Yeah.
up listening to John. So
Yeah.
it was incredible, an incredible experience.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that was sort of like you're saying, drinking a glass of wine, liquid courage for the crooner style, the icon. But the next one later is a dance hit. I've got the next dance. Any
Oh
good
my
stories of
God.
being out? Were you ever like out at a club and see that come on and watch people rush the dance floor? I want to go, as a contrast to maybe some of the Johnny stuff. Like that one was probably a really fun one to watch people dance to.
Oh my gosh. I tell you, Johnny and I had, the record labels wanted us all to do disco dance stuff
Yeah.
because my friend, who I miss, Donna Summers, had come over and changed the face of music.
Rest in
So that we,
peace. Rest in peace.
yeah, rest in peace. I loved her. She's a nice lady. And so, the record label always said, you got to do this dance song. So, gosh, I went and I did this dance song. So, John and I go and we do the command performance for Prince Charles. And I come back and I'm slated to be on a television show. And so I'm on the television show and I'm in the dressing room. All of a sudden, I heard them say, Disco Divas, Grace Jones, Vicky Sue Robinson, and Deniece Williams. I said, huh? I said, no, I'm a disco queen.
Yeah, disco diva, just like that.
Disco queen, just like that. Oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was saying, what? Okay.
I'll take
Vicky
it.
Sue Robinson, Grace Jones, and Deniece Williams. I said, all right, here we go.
All right. Yeah, that's good company. Go for it. Hey, if they want to call you that, just take it and run with it for that.
Hey,
I
I
love
said,
it.
okay, I got a new identity.
Exactly. Well, your identity continued to evolve because you get your first Grammy nomination. I believe it was for It's Gonna Take a Miracle. Any memories of, did you actually go attend? Did you, any good stories from sitting in the audience or hoping they'd call your name? I want to know that first experience.
Well, I tell you, the first one that I got was Johnny and I got an American Music Award.
Okay.
And I was so busy talking to my date, I didn't even hear them call my name. This is somebody behind me said, they just called you. I said, what? They just called you. And I was in a state of shock. There was no way that I felt, that we were going to win this.
Yeah.
And yet we did. So it's just been incredible. I think twice and one time after that, I was sitting there and I was in my limo. I was on the way there. Traffic was horrible. Next thing I know, I get a phone call. Hey, you just won a Grammy. I said, whoa, come on. So the record label got up, but I didn't miss the rest of them.
Yeah, so the Grammys, I think we'll double back to Let's Hear It for a Boy in the Boy in a second, because that's the huge one everyone's gonna know. But just while we're talking about the Grammys, you won like multiple for, I believe, like more gospel categories, right? I Surrender All,
Yeah.
They Say, I Believe in You, this is my song, like stuff like that. Was when you started winning these Grammys. Like, what was it like? You've done Johnny, you've done disco diva, and now you're doing gospel. Like, you know what I mean? Like, talk about just sort of that stage of your career, getting to do gospel.
Well, I had always put a gospel song on each one of my secular projects with Columbia. Yeah. It was the first time I got a Grammy. It was for a gospel song that was on my secular project. And I was just shocked that even happened, because the gospel audience really doesn't gravitate towards secular artists.
Right.
It's like, we're over here, you're over here. But they accepted me, and I think it was because I had always, from the very beginning of my career, had put gospel music on my project, so they knew it wasn't just something I was jumping into. It was a part of who I was. And so just to see these things, these nominations come up, and Let's Hear It for the Boy, of course, was nominated as well.
Yeah.
So
it's at the Oscars.
That's right. Yeah. And that was very interesting because I was there for Let's Hear It for the Boy. My other Wonder Love member, ex Wonder Love member, Ray Parker Jr. was there for Ghostbusters.
Right.
And then our boss was there. Stevie was there for I Just Called to Say I Love You. So we
Man.
were just all there at the Oscars. And it was just incredible to see that we not only got nominated, but we were also, we sang, we performed for the Oscars.
That must have been really cool. Well, tell me
Yeah.
that whole soundtrack, the Footloose soundtrack with Let's Hear It for the Boy. Well, Let's Hear It for the Boy, I think was maybe obviously topped the charts on the radio too, but just as a movie soundtrack too, like speak to, I mean, obviously there's the Kenny Loggins song, the title track, but like,
Yeah.
you know, why do you think that movie works so well? Is it Kevin Bacon's dancing? Is it the soundtrack, or is it just how it all came together?
I think because how it all came together. It was an incredible film. You know, the subject of how they put together, and a lot of people have experienced that. Where coming, especially in the Midwest where we're from, where there's a lot of thou shall not.
Right.
Thou shall not do this, thou shall not do that. And see, I think a lot of people, especially the Midwesterners, really gravitated to that movie because of the message. And then also for me to be sitting there, because I didn't know where my song was. And when I saw Chris Penn learning how to dance on my movie, it was kind of like the payoff. And I sat there and I cried. I really cried. It was like, man, if my song could be anywhere in the film, this was the perfect spot for it. And it's just wonderful. And so, I can't go anywhere with not singing Let's Hear It for the Boy. I didn't know I'd be singing at 35, almost 40 years later, but here we go.
Honestly, I mean, you've had a long, successful career. All the songs we've mentioned, and even ones we haven't. But like that is like this song that I'm sure some people are like, oh, I get tired of singing my hits. But I'm hoping that at least for you, you're at least at a place where you're like, you know what, I owe a lot to that song. I'm gonna sing it for you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's fascinating to know that the music has lived that long in the hearts and minds of people, and that they want to hear it, and that I had an opportunity to work on such great music.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that, and I'm grateful for that.
Absolutely. Did you ever after Footloose, like, when, I don't know, it's red carpets and making all this box office money and all this stuff. Did you ever get to meet, talk to like Kevin Bacon or John Lithgow or anyone from the movie? And did they say, thank you for your song?
I never ran into those guys at all, but
we should have done this interview last week. I interviewed Kevin Bacon last week. I could have he could have thanked you on Zoom. Missed chance.
Well, I tell you though, but it was just incredible. The love that I got from the writers, Tom Snow and Dean Pitchford, and just how they just was so excited for me to be on the project, and so much love, and talking to me after George Duke and I had done it. It was just an incredible moment.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw out some trivia. You might have to double check me, listeners, but I'm pretty sure the Footloose soundtrack might have been what finally dethroned the Thriller album. I think Thriller was going on for like 10 weeks or something, and then that soundtrack, I think, finally edged it out. I could be wrong. I need to look that up afterwards. If I'm wrong, I'll edit this out.
Yeah, well, that'd be interesting. I'm gonna look that up myself.
I think we gotta, there's lots of trivia floating around the internet, but you need to fact check it. So we'll double check that. But I'm pretty sure either way, it was a monster soundtrack is what is the point. And all right, well, so thank you for joining us. I mean, I'm trying to think of some like stuff today that that shows your ongoing legacy. Did I hear that your Let's Hear It for the Boy wardrobe, your outfit is up at the Hard Rock Cafe in Indiana somewhere? Like, you've come full circle to your hometown.
Yes, it is. One of the dresses that I wore last year for the boy is at the Hard Rock Cafe in Gary, Indiana, and that was just such an honor, to be there, and to be there for the guitar smash that we did at the Hard Rock when it opened. And so it's just been phenomenal.
When they smash those guitars, do people gotta like cover their drinks? You don't want, a tuner thing to fly into, when that guitar smashing, fly into your drink there.
Listen, we were out there smashing those guitars, and after we smashed them, these fireworks went up, and all I could think about was I better protect my hair, because Michael lit on fire when
Oh
he did
yeah,
his
like
commercial.
the
And all
Pepsi commercial, right? Yeah.
I looked down there at his brother Tito Jackson, and I said, "We better be careful."
You're like, oh, I get how this could easily happen. I get it
Oh
now.
my
Watch out.
gosh! And when the fireworks went up right behind me, I'm like, "Oh my God!" So
Absolutely. And one other final question of something more recent, an honor you got. Didn't you just down in Jamaica, I guess last month in May, you received the keys to Kingston, Jamaica?
I received the key to Kingston, the key to the city, and a bunch of awards that they gave me, and that was so lovely. I've been in and out of Jamaica, in and out, at least touring there every year. And I knew Bob Marley and Jimmy Cliff, and I used to write together. So it's like second home. It's another home. So
Gary,
that was.
Indiana, and Kingston, Jamaica. The Hoosier goes to the Caribbean, right? Wasn't there like didn't they create a perfume or something too for you?
Yep, they gave me a Deniece Williams perfume. I need to get on that and get that out to people. I got a perfume. I got keys to the city. I got declarations.
Everything. Wow. All right. Well, maybe
Yeah.
get that perfume selling up here in the States too. You never know. People
That's
listening to
right.
this, yeah.
That's right.
Wear it to Bethesda Blues and Jazz, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Anything else you want to say? Just tell our listeners, come on out. They're gonna have a good time at Bethesda Blues and Jazz.
Well, come on out. We're going to have a lot of fun. We usually do when we go to Bethesda Jazz Club there. It's beautiful and it's personable. And you and I are just be hanging out. Got some great music coming. So come on, we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yes. Let's hear it for the boy. Let's hear it for the disco diva. Let's hear it for whatever they're calling you now. Hey, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you. Lovely to speak with you.
Absolutely. We'll see you in Bethesda. Bye now.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time.